everyone. This is Rashonda Thornton. I am the host of the Dietitian Against Diets podcast show. And in the month of April, it's all about sustainability. And you know what? Sustainability matters everywhere. Our partners at Prairie Farm recognize the role that they play and how to become advocates of this worldwide. Today's farmers, you know what? They're actually practicing more sustainability practices than ever to continue to do the work and to work hard to preserve the delicate balance between Earth and our expanding world. As a matter of fact, Prairie Farms, they actually have these two major products that they're contributing to and they're investing in. And it's the energy and water saving investment project, where they have already totaled over the last 2 years $4.7 million towards investing in making sure our energy practices are on top and also our water. Learn more about their efforts and how they're trying to make this earth a better place. Go to www.prairiefarms.com/about/sustainability. Also, you can find them on Instagram. They're always posting recipes and nutritional benefits of some of their products. And I'm sure for the month of April, they're also going to be highlighting sustainability. All right, guys. Hello again, and welcome to the Dietitian Against Diets podcast show. As you should know, I'm your host, Rashonda Thornton, and I want to introduce you today to a gentleman by the name of Sean Folkson. And let me tell you a little bit about this individual because he has a very unique product that I'm very curious about learning about myself. He is the founder and CEO of Nightfood, which is a line of sleep-friendly ice cream formulated to satisfy nighttime cravings in a better, healthier, and more sleep-friendly way. Now, as a founder of this unique product, Sean Folkson recognizes that people are pretty much going to snack anyway, so they might as well snack on something, on a product that satisfies those cravings that they have, but also creates benefits when it comes to helping in their sleep. So essentially, he is set out to solve this American's nighttime sleep snacking problem that we all find ourselves having. So I want to say, first of all, very cool, but thanks, Sean, for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yes. And so, you know, as I was reading your bio and reading about the product, it's like, to me, the beauty of ideas is that there's always something new that can be made out there. And, you know, as a business owner, you're always trying to find that area where things are needed. And for myself, I know when it comes to the diet mentality, I work in those spaces to help people to learn how to live a life of freedom when it comes to nutrition. And that's typically the oxymoron, because you think nutrition means constriction or confinement. But you have found a way to find a product that, you know, helps people to solve that problem with, you know, it's okay to have cravings, but let's do it in a healthy way. So really my goal with you is learn, like, what is the personal connection that you may have to this product and how you just found this to be something that you want to bring to the forefront of America.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, you know, I didn't know at the time when I started the company, you know, we didn't have all the statistics that we have now. We know now that over 85% of Americans snack regularly at night. We know that the most popular choices are cookies, chips, ice cream, and candy. We know that people spend combined in the United States over $1 billion every week just on snacks in that slot between dinner and bedtime. But I didn't know all that. You know, when I first started to notice patterns between what I would eat and how I would sleep, it was actually in college, and it actually wasn't about what I would eat. It was about what I would drink and how I would sleep. And, you know, I guess I had my first hangover, and then maybe I had my second and my third and my 20th. And, you know, I realized that some nights I would, you know, depending on what I would drink and then eat before bed, you know, when I was in college, I would have a different experience. And sometimes I would sleep until 11 a.m. Sometimes I would wake up wired at like 6 a.m., you know, no matter how late I was out. And so that gave me the idea of, you know, depends on what I put in my body, I sleep differently. But I didn't do anything with that. And then, you know, several years later, I had my own internet company, and I started dieting. I mean, there's a book that you may remember called Body for Life by a gentleman by the name of Bill Phillips. Back in the late 90s, like, you'd go into a bookstore, right? This is before
Back
Amazon
in the day, we had those.
World.
Yeah,
exactly. And you go into a bookstore, and, you know, there would always be the bestseller, and they would have a big pyramid, like at the front of the store, a big table with a big stack of books way up high. And this book, you know, was there, it seemed like, for months on end. And so a friend of mine said, hey, you should try Body for Life. So I got the book and I read it. And basically, and it's funny because everything that made sense then that he was saying now is like the exact opposite of what people say. So his basic premise was in addition to exercising and doing some high intensity interval training, which is still kind of accepted, his nutritional philosophy was you need to keep feeding your engine, and you need to eat every 2 to 3 hours that you're awake. And if you don't, then your body goes into starvation mode, your metabolism slows down, it starts to store energy, store calories as fat, and so you always need to be eating. Whereas now, I think obviously intermittent fasting is a very popular thing. Back then it was like, look, if you go too long without eating, you're creating real problems. So that was his premise.
Okay.
So, but another part of it, so along with that was his meal plan, which was, have a small, healthy breakfast. And then like a couple of hours later, you would have one of his shakes, and his brand was called Myoplex. And up until recently, just a couple of years ago, I was going to say, up until a couple of years ago, you could find it still at GNC and other places. So the idea was, and he would sell the bars, right? And so I must have eaten thousands of Myoplex bars a year. Maybe not a year, but like literally, I wouldn't be surprised. There were days when I would eat 4 Myoplex bars.
Oh wow! Would you eat them as like a meal replacement or something?
Well, no, not as a meal replacement, but in between. So this is the problem. So the idea is, okay, so you have breakfast, and then like at 10:30 you would have a shake, right? Then you would have lunch at 1, and then you would have a bar at like 3:30, and then you'd have dinner at 6, and then you're supposed to have another bar, right? So you'd eat 6 times throughout the day. Now the thing is, these were workout bars. These were big, 250 calorie, loaded with protein and lots of carbs, lots of sugar. And pretty heavy. And so what happened is I started not going to sleep as early, and I was a bachelor. I was a single guy. I didn't have healthy food in the house typically. I had what I would eat, for my lunch. I'd have chicken breast and vegetables and stuff, but I didn't have like healthy snacks, I guess. Mm-hmm. All I had was these bars. And so whenever I would get hungry at night, I would have a bar. So it wasn't uncommon for me to have a bar at like 9 o'clock at night. And then I'd still be up working because I wasn't going to sleep. I was working on my company. I would have another bar at like 11:30. And then if I was still up at 1 a.m., 1:30, I would have another bar.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, I started realizing, I'm eating these energy bars at night. It's probably not optimal. And I looked and I looked online. I said, there has to be something, right?
Yeah.
There's bars for golfers and bars for ballerinas and bars for this and that. But there was nothing that was like a PM bar. And, I thought at that time, that's when I came up with the idea. But again, that was like 12 years before I ever started the company. And I had that idea, and I wasn't an industry guy. I wasn't in the nutrition space. And I just always felt somebody else will do this, and then I'll just be their best customer. And it never happened. And throughout that next decade or so, I started to see more articles about how people are not sleeping well and the connection between sleep and health, and why sleep is so important. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I started to research it. What I found was that there were a lot of sleep experts out there that would say things, and nutrition experts too, that was like, look, if you're hungry, you shouldn't go to bed hungry. You should have a small snack. If you're going to snack at night, here's what it should be. It should be mostly complex carbs, a moderate amount of protein, not too much sugar, not too high glycemic, mm-hmm. Not too many calories. And I looked at that and I was like, well, that's interesting that there's this consensus, but yet there's no products. As a consumer, I wanted something that I could put in my cabinet. I didn't want tips and tricks and information necessarily. All that information is great, but it's also nice to have something that you could just buy, right? So that was when I started to realize that the category was coming. That with functional nutrition getting more and more common, and with sleep becoming more and more of a problem, I knew that there was a big space where sleep and nutrition meet. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I remember going to a trade show in Boston called Expo East. I don't know if you know Expo East and Expo West. They're these shows where people launch new products, new healthy products. And I was looking for somebody to partner with. I had this idea I was an internet marketer. That was my business. And I thought that if somebody else would create the product, I could maybe work with them, or we could do something together. And I gave the idea to like 20 companies, including Myoplex, which was then owned by Abbott Labs. And nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
And so I left, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do this myself, because I realized, Rashawn, at that point, because the category was coming, that I was either going to be the guy on the cover of the magazine, or I was going to be the number one customer of the guy on and putting that guy on the cover of the magazine.
Yeah, the magazine, yes.
And that's not something I wanted to live with. Everybody has ideas that they don't act on immediately, and then you see it in the supermarket, or you see it on TV.
I knew I should
have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or you're like, that guy stole my idea. And it's fine if you have the idea like on a Tuesday and then you see Shark Tank on Friday. But it's another thing if you have the idea in like 1991 and then this is happening in like 2009. So I decided I had missed out. I missed out on low carb. So with low carb, I was doing the Atkins diet in the mid 90s, and I had my internet marketing company, and I actually wrote a letter to Dr. Atkins. And my office where I was working was really close to his place in Manhattan. And I said, look, I'm following the Atkins diet. It's great, but there's nothing really convenient to grab and go. There's no bars. There was no convenient snacks. Anytime you wanted something, you had to cook bacon, right? Basically, So I said, look, wouldn't it be great? We could create this. I could market it. We could create snacks, like nutrition bars that would fit the profile, and healthy things on the go. And he never wrote back. And sure enough, by 2002, 2003, low carb was a multi-billion-dollar category.
And that's how the Atkins bar came about. It came about like years later after you presented them to him as an option, as something to do.
Right.
Wow.
So I didn't want to miss it again, and I felt that nighttime nutrition was going to be the next big thing. And even though I didn't know anything, I just went for it.
So you went for it, but you went for everybody's joy is ice cream. Yeah.
Well, not at first. Nightfood. So we launched. I started the company in 2010, and we launched with nutrition bars because I was always a nutrition bar guy. That's what I loved. And so we launched with bars, and when we marketed it to people, what we found was people loved the idea of having a better, healthier nighttime snack that could support better sleep. And they loved the taste of the bars also. The feedback we got on the taste was really great, but it was very common. People would say things like, I love the bar, it tasted great, it kept me away from the junk, but I don't know if I slept any better, so I'm going to give you 2 thumbs down. I'm going to tell my friends never to buy from you, and you're a jerk because I didn't get immediately like the most unreal sleep of my life.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do with nutrition, right? You can't put Ambien in a bar or something like that. So, you can support, right? Just, you can put ingredients in there that are supporting of better sleep. So, we tried for like 7 years we with these bars, and we tried changing the formulation, changing the branding, changing the messaging, changing the marketing. And finally, a few years ago, I realized, maybe the problem is that the people that are eating the worst stuff, the ice cream, the cookies, the chips, and the candy, those people don't want to switch to a bar.
They want to stay with those things they enjoy at night. Yes.
Right. So they want to stay in format. So what we finally did, and I always wanted to get into those other spaces, but I always felt my logic was, once we get certain traction with the bars, once we get to a certain sales level with the bars, once we know the messaging, the consumer messaging, then we can go into another format. And finally, I had a heart-to-heart with myself, and the bars were not working in terms of a business. I mean, it just wasn't, the reorder rates weren't high enough, and I realized that, we need to get into a different format, or else we're not gonna survive long enough to get there. And ice cream was always going to be my next thing, because it's what I would eat. Like I said, I was always a bar guy when I was trying to be healthy, but ice cream is what I would reach for, if I just was craving, and that's, I wanted to eat whatever.
Yeah,
so
it's still an
untapped
market when it comes to the ice cream version of something that's healthy. Because again, when you think ice cream, it doesn't necessarily fall into the category healthy. So the fact that you're not only making it healthy, but you're having it to where what stands out is the part where the ingredients helps to suffice healthy sleep, and that's a
Right.
wellness component that I don't think any other product, especially ice cream center, has had. You know?
Nobody's ever done it.
Yeah. So
Nobody's ever done it, and it's amazing to me that everybody eats every day, everybody sleeps every night, and with as big of a problem as nutrition has been for the last 30 or 40 years with all these diet products, and with sleep becoming a bigger and bigger issue in the last 15 to 20 years, it's amazing that nobody but me ever really. And I know the big companies have talked about it. I've spoken to executives from the big companies. They talked about it internally. And now what we're seeing is Nestle has commented on it publicly. They said, look, we know people want healthier snack choices right before bed. Kellogg's and Mondelez have spoken about it. And now Pepsi just launched a drink called Driftwell. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's
No, I
a
haven't.
sleep supporting, relaxation supporting beverage. It's called Driftwell. And just last month, Unilever, which is the world's largest ice cream company, they announced that they are conducting a year-long research study to look at how we can use diet and nutrition to impact sleep quality and help deliver better sleep to people through nutrition. So
Yeah.
it's something that's definitely coming.
Yeah, and because it seems to me we're going to open a whole nother pathway of connecting nutrition and sleep and finding products that fit into that. And I love the human mind. We're constantly finding ways to meet people where they're at and still make a need to where it can be lean into the nutrition world. I'm going to ask you some questions because as a consumer, like I saw your products and I love how is it like a monster on the front, like what is it called when we were little kids, scary monster type of look,
Well,
but they look really fun.
That's the Crave Monster.
Oh, the Crave Monster. Okay, so he has a
Crave
name.
Monster, right?
Yeah,
Crave Monster comes out at night, and so what happens is, and you've seen this, right? As a dietitian, you know this. You've talked to probably hundreds, thousands of people. Nighttime is the trickiest time, right?
Yeah.
It's there's so many people out there. They can work through breakfast and lunch and have a healthy dinner, and then 7 or 8 minutes, at night you can run a whole day of healthy eating. Right?
Yep.
And it's very common. And so, but what happens at night, most people don't realize this, is we are biologically hardwired to crave salts, sweets, and fats as it gets later in the day. Okay? Because eating that stuff is the most efficient way to store fuel inside your body, because for the caveman, they didn't just have food in the house. And they had to put energy inside their body in the form of calories and store that so that in times when there was no food around, or if they had to wake up the next morning and go hunt or go pick, enough berries to survive, which is not always easy, they needed to have extra. And so before bed, and bears do the same thing before hibernation. Bears gain, bears like double their weight right before they go into hibernation because that helps them to survive. So we have a lot of that same wiring. So at night, every single day, these cravings come around, and here's where it gets worse. Your willpower is weaker at night. Your cravings for unhealthy things are stronger. Your satiety mechanism changes. So even if you had a hard-boiled egg at 8 a.m. versus 9 p.m. or a Snickers bar at 8 a.m. versus 9 p.m., whatever you eat is more filling in the morning and earlier in the day than it is late at night or at night at all. And then the reward center in your brain.
Yes.
So all these things conspire. You get the cravings. You don't have the willpower. It requires more to satisfy you. And so that's why so many people fall into this trap at night. It's not just a bad habit. There's a lot of, and then there's the emotional component of it.
I call it the
we can
perfect,
talk about as well.
I call it the perfect storm. I tell clients
Yes.
all the time, in the morning, like your day is getting started, you're amped and you're ready to go. You have, you've rested, you're thinking clear, you're rational, and you're prepared for the day. And when nighttime comes, you're in your comfort zone. You had a long day. You want to distress. Your favorite TV show's on. You're in your just cozy nest. And so guess what we want? We want those types of foods that kind of adds on to that cozy feeling. And that's where we are, our strength does weaken. We do become vulnerable. And then there's like a connection to just it being dark and us just being home to wanting those foods. So it just kind of opens up like a gateway of saying, come get some of these cravings, your idol, right? You're not busy, you're not working, so your
For the
mind is
first time
thinking and
all
you're
day for a lot of
thinking.
people, yeah, you
Uh-huh.
got time.
Yep. And so you start connecting, I need certain foods to help me to relax. And then
Yep.
it just comes to it's what we do every day. So I know it's a combination of nurture and nurture. Like your nature as
Yeah.
biologically, we as humans, and then as far as you went to the caveman analogy, like we're built to where we find ways to kind of hibernate, in lack of better terms, just to
Yeah.
store energy. But also the nurture part is like we're also in an environment, where when you watch movies, you see people sitting there eating ice cream, watching movies. When people are, coming home from a long day at work, they're having their wine, they're having chocolate cake. You see it just kind of as in marketing, people that you grew up with. So you also just naturally just kind of gravitate towards having something or feeling like you need to have something every night. So again, it's that perfect storm of biological component and just kind of what we're influenced by. But I'm glad,
It
like you
is the
say,
perfect storm.
yeah. And so like,
It is. Yeah,
and
sorry.
what I want to do is like, because I want people to really know like that ingredient piece, especially being a consumer. So like I know, like as a dietitian, I'm going to put my dietitian hat on. Some key ingredients that stand out to me is like the casein whey, which is a slow burning protein, the digestive enzymes, the prebiotics, having prebiotic fiber, the magnesium and
Yep.
zinc, and I love the fact there's no artificial flavors. And so I think like
Right.
those parts, people hear the word it helps with your sleep, but if they understand those key ingredients, really what independently helps people to sleep, but collectively you kind of encapsulate inside of a product that also tastes good.
Yeah, and so it really comes at it from two ways, right? So first, again, we have to remember our customer is going to be snacking at night anyway.
Regardless, yes.
So we're not just looking at Nightfood's ingredients in a vacuum. We're looking at it compared to the Ben and Jerry's or the Haagen-Dazs or the Talenti. So the first thing is, you want less sugar, right? You want less fat. You want fewer calories. Okay. So some of it is addition by subtraction, right? Taking those things out and reducing those things is super helpful. And then, like you mentioned, the extra casein protein, the extra prebiotic fiber, those things, they can help with sleep directly. They can also help lower the glycemic impact of whatever it is that you're eating. They can help you feel more full on less. And then the magnesium, the zinc, the calcium, where we have more than the other ice creams in the store. Added vitamin B6, digestive enzymes, including lactase, which makes it easier to digest, takes the lactose out of the product, so it's all lactose free. So all of these things are steps in the right direction that make it easier for your body to focus on sleep instead of having to deal with this side project of digesting, this huge, sugar and fat bomb that you might otherwise eat if you're having a regular ice cream.
Yes, that is so true. I want to ask you some just questions. I know anyone that's here listening, the first couple of questions they ask about the product. I'm gonna put my hat on like as I'm a consumer. I just want to just see what are your responses. So you mentioned earlier about how it contributes to sleep, and I love that you said it like. But there's no like ambient and there's nothing's gonna like put you to sleep. Now, a lot of people, think, okay, how can you make an ice cream product that helps you to sleep but doesn't have components of what a sleep aid would have? What is your response on that one?
Well, look, I mean, most people are tired. People would sleep just fine if we could only get out of our own way. I would argue that almost everybody with a sleep problem probably wouldn't have a sleep problem if they existed 2,000, 5,000 years ago, right? Sleep is very natural. What happens is we get in our own way, and nutrition is one part of it. Screen time, just the fact that we don't go to bed when the sun goes down is really against nature. So there are thousands, well, maybe not that. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of components that will go into how you sleep on any given night. And what we're trying to do is we're looking at the nutritional component, right? We can't override the fact that you didn't exercise that day. We can't override the fact that you didn't get some sunlight, around lunchtime. We can't override, the dietary choices you made earlier in the day. This is what's just called good sleep hygiene. Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
And hygiene is, the same thing. Sleep hygiene includes a cool, dark bedroom, right? It includes, maybe a noise machine. It includes clean sheets and a fresh, mattress and a pillow that's not 22 years old, right?
I love this
Now,
because
you can,
you letting people know like this is just not a magic pill. Like
no, it's
you
not a
know,
magic pill
it's
at
other
all.
components that contribute to good sleep. You know, you're just fulfilling
Right,
that nutritional part of it, and that means
right.
you have to be able to, like, say, you get in your own way. Sometimes it's multiple reasons why people are not getting enough sleep. And if we just kind of bring in what sleep hygiene is and get off the phone or recognize that when the sun goes down, that means our bodies want to go down. Start connecting all that together, and it would be kind of a nice fit to have your body actually go through the proper process of going to sleep and having a good night's sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can't do all those things. We can help with the nutrition, and make sure that you can still snack at night without doing any more harm than is necessary. That's what we're about. Uh, and it's not, look, I guess even people that take Ambien, every single day or 5 days in a row, they're going to have some nights that they feel like they fell asleep more easily and woke up differently. And that's with a prescription,
Well,
right?
that's what I'm gonna
So
say. Like
just how much, yeah.
that's not really gonna solve the problem either, right?
Oh,
If
no,
we're
of
not
course not.
doing the other components. So I mean, it just makes sense. Like it's great that we have prescriptions like that to help people, but that's not the answer. You know, it takes more. It's other things that have happened and that you want to bring into
Right.
your life to help move that sleep into a more restful space. Now, you mentioned something about like taking out some of the extra sugars and it's like some of those ingredients you find in some of the other
Yep.
popular ice cream products. So, now as a consumer, how the question is, how would you get around avoiding like, the high fat and high sugar content that's mostly found in regular ice cream, which is pretty much the key ingredients to the taste and the texture. So how do you make it taste good, in other words?
Yeah, I mean, that requires a different answer. So I was going to answer and bring up the fact that we're not the first company that's manufactured an ice cream with less sugar, less fat, and fewer calories. There's Halo Top, and then there's others. But then you ended with the taste question, so I don't want to bring up those other brands because I think, quite frankly, they don't really taste like ice cream should in a lot of cases, and they certainly don't have the mouthfeel and the texture that I think a lot of people like in their ice cream, which is for it to be creamy.
Creamy.
Um, so we were very fortunate in that when we set out to create this product, I knew what I wanted. We wanted something generally with the macro profile of a Halo Top, generally.
Okay.
But we didn't want the sugar alcohols, and we also wanted it to be much creamier and better tasting, and without that artificial, overwhelming sweetness that I don't know how much of that is the erythritol or the stevia. Um, but so that's what we set out to do, and we went to we got connected with a leading ice cream research lab, and these guys do work for the biggest companies in the world. And we got them at a great time. I remember the first R&D call; they had like 7 people on the phone with the research team, and they had some salespeople on the phone. It was I felt really important. And what I found out is, first of all, they thought we had a really great idea because they know that the pints, right? People are not eating a pint ice cream for breakfast. They're not grabbing it on the go while they're commuting or running to a meeting. Pint ice cream is at night in front of the
That's
TV
the whole
with a
purpose of it.
spoon, typically,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Even though it's like 3 to 4
so
servings.
that's what they say right on the
Supposedly.
package.
Yeah.
So we went to them and we said, we explained to them what we wanted. And they said, look, we have this technology that we think will work. And then they told me they had created it. They had been contacted and engaged by one of the leading supermarket chains in the country a few months, maybe a year earlier. And they were tasked with creating a Halo Top product that this supermarket could make as their private label brand.
Okay.
And the people at the lab went back and how can we make this better? And, what do people don't like about Halo Top and how could we improve it? And they came back to the supermarket team all happy and proud. Hey, we've made it creamier and we got rid of the sugar alcohols and we made it taste better. And the supermarket said, no. That's not what we need. That's not what we want. We want a clone. We want it to be exactly like Halo
A
Top
replica.
because that's what people are buying. If, we don't want to take the chance. We just want a private label version of Halo Top. So the R&D team went back and they whipped up the formulation, and that product is on the market, available in the supermarket chain as whatever their generic version of Halo Top is. But they had this thing that they were so proud of that they created, which was creamier and no sugar alcohols, and they didn't have a customer for it.
Yes.
And when we came along,
we
were so fortunate. And
wow.
all we had to do was identify the sleep ingredients, the sleep supporting ingredients that we would add, because from a macro standpoint, they did everything we needed them to do from a macro and the taste and texture standpoint.
Okay. Interesting. So it was basically meant to be.
Yes, you might say that.
You know what, Sean, I'll tell you this, when it comes to just, as you're saying, in your life, like, things all about timing. You had so many different great ideas. You went so many different routes, and but you were still hard set on this nutritional piece. And just so happened, you came across, you had a meeting with this ice cream research lab, and they've already created this product. So now all you're doing is you're collaborating with your sleep and nutrition specialist experts to formulate the ingredients to put in there, and there you go.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah. So it made our job a lot easier.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it would have taken us to get to market otherwise. But it was just great timing.
So where are the products typically at now? If people are trying to look for them, where it's stores or where the region is it pretty much located.
So we just actually announced recently that we added 1,000 Walmart locations. We were already in about a little over 800 supermarkets. So we're in about 1,900 stores now. Most of the Walmarts are in California, Texas, Florida. We're also in divisions of Kroger, which is Harris Teeter, and that's in the Mid-Atlantic area. We're in divisions of Albertsons. So Jewel is a big chain in and around Chicago. Shaw's is a big, that's the Albertsons division in New England. So about 18 to 1,900 stores right now. And we're also rolling into hotels, I believe. We're in the middle of a test with one of the leading global hotel chains. You go into any hotel.
That's a perfect place to be. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You go into any hotel these days, they always have that little freezer in that shop. In the shop, they're selling the Pringles and the Cliff Bars and the Nature's Valley bars. But then they've got the freezer, and they've got frozen burritos. They've got mac and cheese. They typically have a few different pints of ice cream that you can choose from. And, of course, they want people to sleep as well as they can. So what I think people are going to start to see in hotels all across the country, right next to whatever pint they have, the Ben & Jerry's or the Haagen-Dazs, they'll see the Nightfood in there as well, with the big sleep-friendly right in front of the pack.
No, that's so cool. And again, you're finding these little crevices because you got a niche. It's the nighttime, so you're finding these in industries where that's going to be, something that those clients or people that are around are going to gravitate towards. I think it's great. And even just your illustration again, just having the Crave Monster on it, to me, I can't wait to see the commercial because I know it's going to be entertaining and it's going to be a way to express your product in a way that stands out, when it comes to ice cream,
we wanted it to be fun and not make people, people already feel guilty about it because this is something, I went through this myself. This is something that people live with for decades, right?
Yeah.
Because almost every night after you make that mistake and you eat all that stuff, you're like, oh, I can't believe I did it again.
Yep, here we go.
Tomorrow's going to be different. And it's never different because the cravings are there, the pattern is there. And so there's this huge guilt. And I think it kills people a little bit every day for decades. And we just want to kind of release that. And
I like that.
Bringing the Crave Monster to life in that way. We wanted to keep it fun. We didn't want it to feel medicinal or therapeutic or clinical. Yes. We wanted it to be very, I'll say human, but we wanted it to be very fun and lighthearted. And look, there's a lot of serious science in each pint, but we don't have to come across heavy,
Nope. I love it. I can't wait. It's unfortunately you didn't mention Missouri Midwest area, so I guess I have to wait till I go back to Texas I'm in St. Louis, but I'm from Houston, so maybe when I go back to the South, I'll be able to come across it. But I'll be definitely on the lookout for it. Yeah,
we're in Central Market. We're in Central Market down there, which you may know. We're in a lot of Walmarts as well.
Okay, and since I know Walmart's everywhere, so I'm sure I'm bound to come across it. Well, we're getting ready to close it up, but I do want people that are, especially for the first time hearing about this product, I want them to be able to grab some, have it as a part of their nighttime regimen. Can let us know like how people can just, even if they want to learn and see different products, where can they go? You guys have an Instagram page. Like how can people connect and learn more about your product?
Sure. So to learn more, there's two places. One is if you want to learn really just about mostly the product and where to buy it and the ingredients and stuff, you go to nightfood.com.
Okay.
The company is also publicly traded, so people can buy and sell shares on the stock market. And we have information for investors about the category and what we think is going to be this $1 billion opportunity. Mm-hmm. And people that want to learn more about that can go to IR, which stands for Investor Relations, ir.nightfood.com. And then on social, we're most active on Facebook, which is facebook.com/nightfood. And then on Instagram, where the handle is The Real Nightfood.
Love it. Well, Sean, I really appreciate you just pulling apart what's in your ingredient, what's it about, and what you're trying to solve. And I think that's, once this blow up, you're definitely going to be a happy man because you have found a way to solve America's problem that's helping them with these cravings. So kudos to you for, being patient and finding the right product that's going to really make a difference. But no, I appreciate you being on today.
Hey, thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and I enjoyed the conversation.
Yes. So, guys, you heard it. You heard it in front of horse's mouth. Sean Folkson, founder of Nighttime Foods. I have a feeling that we're starting off ice cream, but down the road, I wouldn't be surprised there's some other products that's underneath his belt. But look them up, learn about their different products. If you're in those particular areas where he mentioned, as far as the parts of I believe Texas, Florida, areas in, I didn't think he didn't hit the East Coast yet, but they're going to be in a lot of Walmarts. At some point, you're bound to find. So keep a lookout for it, grab it, see how you feel about it, see how it tastes, and share it with others. So, guys, again, we are finding a way to help solve some of these cravings that we all face at nighttime. And you don't have to go starving. You have to deny yourself. Perhaps purchasing a product like Nighttime will help to solve those problems. So, again, this is the Dietitian Against Diets. Bringing someone on interested as Sean, it kind of opens up that window of opportunity when nutrition don't have to be compromised and we can still live a happy life. So take care, guys, and see you next time. Okay, as always, I hope you enjoyed that wonderful conversation with my podcast guest today. So as we're going out, I want to also introduce you to another one of my podcast partners. You have seen them connected to my work since the beginning of the podcast, as well as many of my nutrition-centered projects. As one of the top healthiest granola companies, Banner Road continues to grow. Experience a unique combination of organic ingredients derived across the Midwest region. They believe in high quality, high flavor, and they have actually set the bar on how granola can be more than just a topping. Go to their website and find their products near your closest grocery store, or shop online and have the products shipped directly to you. Go to www.bannerroad.com or find them on Instagram at bannerroads.